Are your beats sounding lifeless? Do you feel like you're getting your beats towards the end, but they're missing just that 10, 20% of extra little bit of sauce? If you're managing to finish your tracks, chances are you're doing something right, but there's just a little bit of knowledge that can take them over the edge and turn them into something amazing. And that is automation, or as I like to call it, change over time. In this video, I'm going to break down some of my workflows, some of my favorite tips, tricks, and techniques that I like to use to add automation into my tracks and ultimately end up with something that has way more life, evolves over time, and ends up sounding finished way more than just my original beats. And thanks to Serato for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it. So I've got this beat, I made it earlier on, and it's okay, it's cool, it's pretty much there, but like I said, it's missing just that 20% because it's very much a copy and paste situation. So I've just taken kind of this big block of chorus, pulled some things out here and there, and it's missing a little bit of life that kind of makes it feel like it's a song, and instead of just like some copy and paste kind of flat beat. So I'll play a little bit so you can kind of get an idea. For so it's pretty cool, but we could do more. We could do more to take it to where I want it to be. And this is how I like to think of automation, right? So you can see I've got these arrangements here. And the reason why we arrange anything in the first place is so that we can have some variety to give to the listener. So they don't just have something going on repetitively, right? We have different parts that serve different functions, like the outro, verse, chorus. And I'm always asking myself, how can I help these sections develop even more on their intentions, right? So how can I make a verse feel even more like a verse? How can I make the chorus feel even more like it's a chorus? And I think about the functions of those things, like a verse. Maybe it's supposed to tell the story. Maybe it's supposed to start off a little bit small, add contrast. The chorus has the catchiness, has everything in it, has that feeling that it's supposed to drive for the song. So I'm asking myself, how can I amplify those feelings, those emotions? And we'll just kind of play, I'll kind of show you a little bit of how I do that in practice. So a good example would be, I had this verse, right? And it's cool, we have this gap and it comes into the chorus, which is quite cool. But we could probably do something to kind of inform that change, to have kind of transition us over into that chorus. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to pull up Serato here, drop it on my drum track. This is Serato Hex Effects, right? It's essentially a multi-effects plugin, but it's so much more than that. And it's kind of hard to describe just with those words. So I'm going to kind of show you exactly how I like to use it. Essentially, we're going to be using this for a couple of reasons. One, it has a whole bunch of modules and effects that we can use in tandem with each other so that it's really quickly able to dial up new ideas. Two, it's got a whole bunch of presets that allow us to be creative and exploratory, so we don't just have to dial in something that we know exactly. We can be surprised. We can be present, be surprised by new ideas, which I'm absolutely loving. And number three is this hex style, right? It looks simple. It's controlling all of these preset notes for these modules, but if I click the parameters icon, and we dive into the granular actual features of each module, you'll see the hex style controls multiple effects and multiple dials all across this to different degrees, right? So it's very, very powerful for tweaking certain aspects of these modules at the same time. So powerful. So let's kind of dig into that. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with kind of a new one. And I'm thinking something that kind of illustrates that we're pulling out of the drum section. So maybe let's try a filter. Let's go filter first. Yeah, so it just kind of subtly ducks down and pulls a little bit away. So I'm gonna click configure, tweak this, and now we have access to that particular dial within our Ableton, so we can automate this, right? So I'm gonna click show automation, set the value to 50%. And then I think I'm going to just slowly. So subtle, but so powerful. And let's keep going. Let's keep going. I just had an idea for potentially like kind of like degrades a little bit. So try like a lo-fi crusher. Let's go the other way with it. So it comes up as it's going down on the filter, right? So I'm going to start with it all the way down, click configure. Add this here, and we're just gonna show automation and allow it to grow this time like this. crazy. Super subtle, but it adds something. You know what I'm saying? It adds something. So we could take this. I'm actually just going to copy it over to this verse as well. I think it could be cool. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then we just have to remember that when we come to our filter, we want to bring it back up to our 50. Edit value, 50. Like so. This is the hook I'm going to have over on this section right here. Around about there. Yeah. Super cool. Super cool. It's subtle, but it works. It really hits. Let's keep going. So another way I like to think about it is you've got these changes over time, these like dynamic automations, you could think of them, where I'm changing percentages, things are slowly coming in and coming out. And then we have like these static changes, which are kind of more binary. They're just on and off. So a good example is something that I love to do. If I pull up Serato Hex Effects, right? Again, I'm going to instantiate a new instance of it. And what I'm going to do is for the drum track, I'm thinking very subtle sweep. All I'm going to do is open up the top a little bit and maybe touch the lows as well, just a touch. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the parameters so I can get a little bit more granular. We'll try a little boost here. Oh, nice. I like the punch as well that comes from that. Nice. I'm thinking I'm going to add something else as well. Maybe like a, yeah, we go saturation, some type of maybe warm. Tape. Oh yeah, tape's beautiful. So that sounds really nice. But what I want to kind of illustrate to you guys is I'm actually only going to have this particular effect happen in the chorus, right? So I'm going to show automation in new lane again. We're going to start with the whole thing off, okay? Then I'm going to automate this section so that it comes on for those particular parts. Same for this chorus. Same for this chorus, right? So now we have a difference between our verse drums and our chorus drums. Our chorus drums have a little bit more life, a little bit more warmth to them. Let's have a listen. 2, 3, and it's subtle, but it's there. And you know what else we could do? This is one of the reasons why I love having everything so close, right? We could add a touch of width to those drums. I like that. Give it a touch of space in the mix. Kind of spread it out a touch. Oh, crazy. Yeah, fire. Let's keep going. Let's see what these keys are doing. Okay, so here's another great example. We've got something that's exactly the same in the chorus and the verse. Is there something we can do with these to kind of give them a little bit of differentiation between those sections? Let's find out. Oh, that's nice. So you can kind of, like I say, you can swipe through and kind of find some presets that you like. Or if you want to, if I click, you've actually got a whole multitude of presets just ready to go, made by some top tier producers. We've got Disclosure in here. I know Oh Gosh Leotis has some. Kalen Ellis has some as well. And these have all been like specifically dialed in so that it's almost drag and drop. It's really fun. So let's just play around and see if we can't find something cool. I love that. I love that. I love that. I'm going to add on top of that, I'm going to add maybe like a phaser. Awesome. Tweak the parameters and bring the mix on the vintage tremolo down. This is one of the reasons why I love this, right? So we've got all of these effects and it would take me ages to dial these in every single time one at a time if I wanted to automate them. But this is what's so powerful about this at the top here, the hex dial, right? So the hex dial controls all of these modules at the same time, but it's not just turning up and down some dry wet thing. If I click parameters, you can actually see it tweaks a whole multitude of settings within here, right, at the same time from one dial. Super, super powerful. So all I have to do is really tweak this. That's the difference that I'm going to make right there. That sounds crazy. I'm going to come into here. We're going to configure the hex dial this time. And I think in the verses, I want it kind of low. And maybe towards the end, we give it a little bit of a hint that something's coming. I'm going to dial it up to 30. And then we go straight away up to like edit 70%. That could be a cool little modulation effect. Copy it from there so that it starts 20, kind of dials up. And we're back in the verse. So I'm going to drop it back down here. Edit value 20. Yeah, and then it kind of scoops up towards the end. Let's have it scoop up from here right up to the end, edit to 30, and then boom, jumps up to 70. Bridge, we bring it right back down to 0, and then we give them more than they've ever heard before, 80. So actually, every time you hear the keys in each section, it's going to be different every single time. That's cool. And let's watch this. It kind of grows. 2, 3, and we could do more. Now we're just playing now. There's a whole lot of opportunity to play with something like this, right? I'm going to show you guys like kind of sort of an advanced technique, right? So I'm going to pull up Serato, another instance, drag it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an LFO, right? So an LFO stands for a low frequency oscillator, right? And it allows us to map any variable to this curve pattern here. And we can control the curve pattern. We can make it faster, slower, so that anything that we map changes over time, but in a set kind of configured way. So I'll show you what this looks like in practice, right? First, let's see if we can't find some cool kind of sound that we like. I love that already. Literally the first one is so cool. So this is something that's like pretty wicked with hex effects. It seems like every time you drag something on, you're going to get a new random preset. So it's fun. It just gives you a little bit of places where you can kind of start in a slightly different place. I'm going to click configure the hex dial, map this LFO to the hex dial. And you see this blue dot moving back and forth? Check out what it's doing to hex effects. How crazy is that? Let's have a listen. Where else are you going to find these kind of crazy textures, right? I'm going to decrease the depth a little bit. So it kind of moves between like maybe 20 and 60. I'm going to set it to a rate that's mapped and configured to our DAW tempo as well. So it's going to be in lockstep with our track. Let's make it a little faster. That's fire. I love kind of the background air that it's created. Oh, there's a lot of movement there. That's wicked. Straight away I'm hearing on that. I'm hearing a filter that happens in that bridge section. I'm going to drag another one, another instance. Let's pull the crusher down. I like it. Let's turn off the vinyl sim. And let's add a filter. So much character on that. So much character on that. Show automation in new lane. We're going to start with it off, and in the bridge, that's going to come on. Fire, fire. So they're going to switch the jobs of each other. 3, 4. Oh, crazy. And all that so that when we come here, yeah, we have this big influx of energy. So cool. Okay. I actually heard, see, now I'm getting excited. Now I'm doing too much. Let me click here. I actually heard if we map, click configure, this little hex dial here, sorry, preset knob. Let me just click show automation in new lane, and I'm going to drag towards the end. I'm going to increase the kind of the cutoff filter. So drag it right there to my chorus and build that triangle. So it actually turns from a low pass into a high pass. Is that what happened? Yeah. Oh, that's so sick. Let's bring it down to 80 so we still hear some of the keys. 2, 3, and yeah, that's exactly it. Sweet. Okay, so there's one more thing that I want to show you guys, right? So up to now, we've been doing instances, changes, direction changes on individual tracks, right? But we could do a whole lot more. I'm going to put a Hex Effects instance on the actual stereo out master bus, right? So we're affecting the whole track. And this is something that I've been loving to do because you can affect your entire track like a DJ would at his decks, right? Let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to click new. And let's say I want to come up with an entirely different atmosphere for my outro. We've got a couple options here. DJ transform. That's crazy. Change the parameters to, I'm gonna just take this half because we're automating the volume out there as well. So if I come here. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. I like that. I'm keeping that. Turn retro stretch. Oh, that's the craziest texture coming out of the last chorus. Okay, what about? That's crazy, but this is my favorite one. I'm gonna go halftime, I think. I'm gonna go halftime. Dial the mix up. I like the flanger as well, actually. Let me go flanger, halftime. Dial the mix up. That's crazy. What about a phaser instead? That's the one right there. That's the one right there. So what I'm going to do, now that I've dialed in those kind of modules that I really like, I've got a couple options. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to automate this so that it comes on in the outro. So show automation in new lane. So this is my fade out. Regular. Let's make it wider as well. Why not? There's no rules, only creativity here. We're just gonna pull this up. Why not? And then it's in the sides of your headphones. Let's keep going. I think I'm gonna add a filter. I think I want to add a filter as well. Let's try that. So I'm going to take off params, select my preset knob here, configure, tweak the preset knob, and I'm gonna click show automation in new lane. Got it here, 50%. Dial it down, maybe dial it down to 0, but towards the end of the fade out, right? So it's hardly even noticeable. You can just slowly see it creeping down. Oh my days. We dialed that in so quickly. So fire. Crazy. So I hope that helps, guys. Hopefully you can see how I like to use automation to kind of add variety, depth, punch loads of differences into my track so that instead of being static and kind of being the same, they turn into these energetic songs that are full of life, full of differences, and ultimately turn into something that you can really, really appreciate. If you want to check out Hex Effects, I'll leave a link in the description and you'll be able to check out the Serato Producer Suite, where you'll be able to get access to not only Hex Effects, but Serato Studio and Serato Sample as well. So it's an incredible deal. Plus you'll be able to get 1 month free when you sign up with my link. So check that out. And if you guys want to see how I made this beat, check this video right here. Peace out.